Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Got a little time here after work, so I'm gonna be working on the magic mod, of course. Let's hop in. I think what the focus is going to be, this stream is going to be kind of finishing out the recipes, making sure a majority of like what I consider the core part of the mod to be done. I'm gonna probably end up reworking some of the stuff. I want to see what soul magic and lunar magic are gonna turn into. Maybe get an idea for the duplication, like spell duplication, how that's going to look. If it should be spell scrolls still, if they should be wands, if they should have more than one charge, things like that. Kind of expanding that, and then also post like when alpha's out. Getting the grimoire enhancement system like designed and going along with the elemental attunement system. So I got a little roadmap ahead, things I want to work on, but really I got to focus on like the guides, and I have to focus on, you know, well, how I'm gonna do the guides and these recipes. Just got to finish out these recipes. Recipes. All right. Yeah, so this is the current guidebook. I can do better. I was just putting in, I had a little time today on break, because I'm like, you know, I'm not really gonna go out and eat anything. I had some M&Ms at my desk. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna pull up Paint and see what I can make. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I posted the pictures in Discord. But basically, I kind of want an achievement system, right? So anything that's like maybe spiked, like basically this is like the ideas of the Thaumonomicon, right? So these are going to be like your major achievements, and then you got like minor achievements. It's going to be easier to like, when I add certain things, I just make like another icon. Not sure if the icons are going to be too big or how big this should be or anything like that, how close everything should be together. But basically, as you unlock things, you'll get icons that show up on the left here. And then when you click it, that's what's going to open up the book, right? And then you can read whatever that entry is. This is going to parse player data. So your manual of the magic arts is going to be different. Even like if I give you mine, right? Like it's going to parse based on your statistics. Happy affiliate anniversary. What, really? Oh, thank you. I didn't know there was, I didn't get any notification that it's my affiliate anniversary. But that's cool. So I guess I gotta remember this day. Nice. How you doing, Lol? We're just going over, I think I want to do like a nice interactive thing here. Like you hover over it and it tells you like, you know, unlock magic, or, you know, harvest a rift bloom, or, you know, whatever thing. It's definitely going to be kind of Minecrafty. I love the you know, like the whole achievement system. So I may end up just making that. But it's kind of where we're at. Just told me when I got here. Nice. Achievements. That's pretty cool. Happy affiliate. That's nice. It's nice that they do that, because I don't remember. I don't remember this stuff. Okay, so I think the big things I have to deal with here are making the recipes for the runestone, and then these four, right? Like I gotta come up with, you know, recipes for them, and then I think like the magic staff. I think this is what it's going to be. I just have to like make the recipe, right? Like add it. There's no armor yet. Oh yeah, and I'll have to do it for all of the runestone types. And I think, and all the staffs, right? But I think once that's done, like alpha is pretty much nailed down. There's probably things that I forgot, of course. There's always something more. Oh, that's actually been placed. I was wondering. Yeah, and I made this not placeable. I'll probably end up making this where you can place it on the ground. My manual. Boop. So let me check the poll to see where people are, because I had an idea with like the obelisk. We go over here. I started to kind of do a pass with the rituals. So I'm gonna have the rituals, ritual of conversion, right? So this is gonna be like changing blue clay into fire clay into blue clay, you know, swapping like the saplings, right? Now I could change this, and I can make it to where like it could change the seeds, make it to where like it's all the same kind of thing, so you'll know to put like your torch in the center or what runes to draw. And then you like throw out the item, right? And then I could change the seed. I do kind of like the idea of changing a sapling, like planting and then trying you having to like work around the sapling. And I got some extra slots in here in case anyone has any good ideas of like, you know, other rituals. But we're going to have the rituals of conversion. We're going to have the rituals of destruction. So the good example of that is turning like the firewood into charcoal directly. And then this one right here, like the rituals of creation. So this will be like how you create an obelisk, I'm thinking. You know, you'll place 2 blocks on top of each other. I'm not sure what catalysts are going to be. Like, I can expand this to where like you could actually just place items down too. But you know, have it to where like you actually create this stuff. I want some of these things you don't make a lot of to feel magic-y, you know? Ritual creation. So this would have been for the runestone, but I gotta let's check Discord. Let's check Discord to see what's winning in the polls. So this is silly. So I thought I put 2 more polls out there. I asked about like, should obelisks be created through rituals or a crafting grid? And then I asked, should runestones be created through rituals or a crafting grid? And I thought for sure people were going to say the obelisk, you know, magic stations need to be created through the crafting grid, and the runestones should be created through rituals. But it's actually been like the reverse. Like, we got like 5 votes right now for like the rituals, right? The obelisk being made by a ritual. Alpha hype! I voted already. I'm surprised, right? But and then like 1 person voted for the crafting grid, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then for the runestones, it's like 2 people voted for the rituals and 4 people voted for the crafting grid, and I'm like, I thought that it would have been like the other way. I thought if people wanted rituals for like the obelisk, they would have wanted it for like the runestones, because you don't make a lot of runestones. But that's not really the case. So I'm just kind of sitting here like, wow, I didn't expect that. It was very interesting. But yeah, eventually I want some like creation stuff here. I think having a majority of like the items that you make a lot of, like Arcanus, you know, the rustic compounds, you know, the staves, right, the wands, things like that, should be in the Thaumic workbench. But having unique rituals and stuff, right, like the, you know, destruction rituals, having them be more small scale, you know, be able to kind of do them from almost anywhere. You know, like the creation rituals, right? Like actually making, I remember in like Ars Magica, right? The first time that you made like your light crystal, right? And then like doing the spell, and then it like transforming what you had into like a new thing that had new properties. I remember that being so cool. So I think, like, you know, you already have to do a ritual to create the Celestial Prism and the Devouring Void anyways. So it kind of made sense, right? Like, well, what about making the obelisk? Might as well make that a ritual too. like a basic one, right? To where like when you're a little noob, you know, like right in primitive stuff, you should be able to just jump right into these, right, and complete these kind of rituals. And of course, the bigger ones here, they're going to be the larger scale. I'm thinking instead of like regular torches, these would be like for mana torches. You know, like any like big cool spell kind of rituals. You know, you would use mana torches instead. We'll kind of change that, right? Because this is like higher tier magic, right? Doing a mass recall or, you know, whatever it is. So that being said, I need to decide what the recipes should look like. I think last night I threw some stuff in here. I guess the first thing is, should I be using temporal gears for some of this stuff? I know they can be pretty rare, but I also know there are numerous mods out there to where temporal gears drop like candy. Like all the freaking time, like to where I remember throwing temporal gears out because I just had too many and I didn't have the space. Like I needed to store food and, you know, the blocks I'm picking up, not necessarily all the goddamn temporal gears that take up a single inventory space, right? Don't stack. And I was thinking too, like, would it break the game to put a ritual of destruction in to like throw a temporal gear out and then shatter it into like, or turn it into like rusty gears, you know? Like I think that may actually be pretty neat to do. I don't know. Although would that be a ritual of conversion? I would never throw out, well, obviously you're not using the mods that I have used in the past. You know, it's like I remember like I was remodeling my house and I'm like, okay, in this chest, right? This my reed basket, I've got like 8 temporal gears in there and then onesie and twosie temporal gears here and there, and it's like I just wanted flax. I remember it was a choice between a temporal gear and flax. And I'm like, I needed the flax for, I totally forgot what the point was. Like it was just like the twine, right? Just trying to make whatever the hell it was. And I remember being like, well, I already have my home point set and bound, so I guess I'm throwing away this temporal gear. I mean, and to be fair, it was like seven of the flax. This wasn't just one. Yeah, the flax fibers. I think I had like 7 flax fibers, and I'm like, I kind of want that more than these temporal gears. I think the annoying part of the temporal gears is the drop rate is pretty low, and the first couple matter a lot, but rapidly become useless. Exactly, Torek. Like, that's how I felt, too. It's like, well, I have my home point set, you know, I've got a couple others, and you don't really use them for much else, right? Like, Rusty Gear, at least, yeah, and you're right, like, at least Rusty Gears is like a form of currency with the traders. Which is why I thought it would be cool to have a ritual to where you could convert a temporal gear into rusty gears, and then maybe vice versa. Maybe you could turn like 5 rusty gears or 8 rusty gears into 1 temporal gear, or break down that temporal gear into 8 rusty gears, right? Just so you could get more use out of them. And if that's the case, if I do add something like that, then I can start actually using temporal gears in some of the things here, right? Because like with this, I like the idea of using that rustic energy kind of texture. So having a temporal gear in here as part of the requirements, it serves a couple purposes, right? Like it shows you, first of all, like, hey, this is actually a really good item, which a Spellforge is going to be like one of your mostly, you know, that's how you get your spells, right? Like this is going to be an awesome thing. And it kind of makes it to where you can't make like the Minecraft furnace, right? Like early on, you can make a literal wall of furnaces and just throw all the wood in there, cut down numerous trees, and just mass produce coal, right? I don't want you to make 1,000 spell forges really easily right off the bat. You know, so at least a temporal gear kind of stops that. Same thing with obsidian. Like, I like obsidian. It's actually my favorite stone in this game. Bismuth is my favorite metal in this game. But I also have the ritual to where you could turn flint into obsidian, right? So, again, right, I'm trying to use some of the, you know, some of the other items. So that's really, when I do these streams, like, I'm just trying to get some ideas, right? I'm throwing out ideas, like, how this stuff should work. And people are able to kind of give me direct feedback, right? So if you're here, you get a say. You get to change the mind of ice. I appreciate the obsidian ritual for areas where it's not just lying around. Yeah, there have been a lot of areas where, like, sometimes I find obsidian and it's great. Other times I don't find any obsidian at all, and I've explored huge, like, areas of the world. You know, and I'm the first one there. Like, I would see the obsidian. So having a more steady way, it's almost like bamboo. My first mod I made, I ended up putting bamboo furniture in, because the first world I ever made had a lot of bamboo kind of in my starter area where my friends were playing. So I'm like, it's criminal that we don't have anything in the game. This was a long time ago. I'm like, we don't have anything in the game that adds, like, entry level kind of stuff, right? So I made, like, a bamboo rug, a bamboo, you know, chair, a bamboo table, all this stuff with bamboo. And then when we ended up making another world, and there was, like, no bamboo anywhere, and I'm like, great, this mod's useless. And that's when I started to add other things, like, oh, let me make windows, wooden windows, and chimneys that smoke, and things like that. So yeah. So I guess all of that being said, my first question is it a good idea to use temporal gears? Oats! How you doing, Oats? You actually came here. Look at that. Now we just need Bernardo to come in here and say something instead of waiting until the end of stream. I think using temporal gears isn't a big deal. That's what I think. I think you should have a temporal gear. The Spellforge should use a temporal gear. Definitely the Oculus and the pedestal. Like, there should be a temporal gear, at maybe one for each. And especially the Sanctum, like your psychic link to, like, grimoires and spellcasting. Now, that all being said, of course I would want to put in the ritual to convert rusty gears into temporal gears and vice versa. So, yes, I think for crafting with temporal gears is a way to convert, with a way to convert with rusty. Yeah, with rusty gears. I'm helping someone who is having trouble with my mod. Ooh. Oats. Did they ask when X skills compatibility is coming? I will ask for all of us, Oats. When is X skills compatibility coming? I get that. Oats, we talk about it all the time. I think it was last week or a week before. I got someone sending me a direct message asking if I ever plan on putting X skills compatibility in. And I sent the follow-up, and I'm like, well, what do you mean compatibility? What would X skills do? It's like, oh, you know, make you level up your mana faster. And I'm like, there's a config option for that. Well, you know, as you use your spells, you get better at magic and you gain levels faster. I'm like, that's kind of the reverse of what I want you to do, you know? But I got it, Oats. I got it. I think it was... I think it you know, it may have been like 2 weeks ago, now that I'm thinking about, like, I kind of, my time is in, like, work week and then weekend, right? So this was 2 bonfires ago. That's when the steel chair and the top rope comes out. Stone Cold Oats. That's great. So I guess I will I'll have to come back to the basic runestone. I thought people were gonna vote to have like to make these out of like rituals. I mean, they have runes on them, right? Like, out of all the things that you're gonna draw runes around, you would think that the runestone would be the thing you'd want to make as a ritual. But I mean, the people are speaking. Maybe they don't want it. So I guess I gotta I suplex them through the stage. I can envision you doing that, Oats. Being gentle. What was that? in a soft voice. Come again. All right, so I won't do anything here. This is kind of like the recipe I was thinking about. I wanted to use the ash in here. I don't think I'm going to use the ash. I think just like whatever the Arcanus is for that level is what I should be using. But that being said, I don't know anymore. I guess we'll skip this. So, I think this would be a decent recipe. It uses some rustic compounds. You got some Arcanus in there. You will have obsidian. And the enchanted stone, which kind of covers the basis of like what this thing looks like. So I think this would be good. And it's not like a lot of materials, but it's enough to where, you know, you put in some effort to actually make this item. What do I have here? So, So these two things should take more resources than this, right? Because this is like the line. You create your runestone, and then the first thing you're going to want to make is a spell forge, because that's like your first step, right? You have to use it to... let's get the ciphers. Now let's do a neutral. I haven't done a neutral in a while. Right, so you would put your stuff in, create your runes around it to like turn it on. And then it kind of keeps going, and then your portal opens and it's ready. Right, so this is how you learn your spells. Oculus will come next, of course. So these two things should take more resources than this guy. They get out the letter X. There are then face full of ground. Come on, that ground's pretty springy, right, Oats? You've suplexed people in the ring before. You know how much bounce there is? Oh, man. I really think, like, I gotta think in the mindset, I'm giving you the ability to turn rusty gears into temporal gears. And then, you know, vice versa. So, a temporal gear here makes sense. I think there should be a temporal gear in here. There we go. Boom. Pop a temporal gear right there. And putting it on the bottom would kind of make sense with, like, how this block is. Right? Because, like, I got all this kind of on the bottom. So that makes sense. And, of course, holding... Yeah. Look at that. It tells me the blocks that are missing for the creating the Oculus. I'm glad I got that working. Not on the concrete in the streets where I brawl. Right? That's not how we do it in my streets, right? Right, Oats? When I hear X skills... I see Oculus is mostly being gated by needing a copper or better chisel versus the resource cost. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that with the gating. I made it to where, so I'll kind of go through this here. And I definitely don't mind going through this stuff because, like, I want to make sure before I get this alpha in people's hands that you know, like, I'm not wrong in my approach, right? Like, this does sound fun, because it's a lot harder to, like, change things once people got a taste for it, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to make sure the final product is going to be something that everyone could be happy, well, most people could be happy with. So the white right here, this is pretty much like primitive magic, right? You're kind of cavemanning it up. This is all stuff achievable before the Copper Age. So, you know, obviously getting rift blooms with the rift interactions, the things you get from there, your basic magic chalk, which once you get magic chalk, it's going to unlock all of, like, these 3 different kind of rituals, right? So you got your rituals of conversion, destruction, and creation, right? These are all your caveman primitive rituals. And then, of course, you know, you can make your carpets, right, with your mage weave. You can make different blocks to, like, you know, enchanted stone blocks to, like, build with. You'll make your first rustic compound, but you can't do anything with it, but you use it as an item to, like, make your first wand. You know, so you can actually start casting spells. But all of this stuff you can do with you know, after you get so many resources, right? You know, after you harvest so much rusty dust. But this is like caveman. And then this line right here, that's the dividing line. So this right here is like, okay, the obelisk, right? You're now getting into essence generation. This, to make this, you are going to have to get chiseled stone right over here. So you're going to have to be able to get the chiseled enchanted stone, but you need a chisel for that to actually chisel it, right? So this right here is like your Copper Age. So this line right here means that you need copper. You at least need a copper chisel. And then that opens up more of the mob, right? Now you're getting into essence, and now you can take, like, your items back here, like your rustic compound, and your old thaumic workbench, and now you can actually link it, right? Because this is your thaumic workbench. Now you can link it to, like, infuse essence, right? And you can put that rusty, you know, that rustic compound in here to start getting ash. You know, it opens up more, you know, rituals and recipes and stuff, so you can start going down the different paths. And then that leads into your first grimoire. So you can get spells early on, and they're not the most powerful, but, you know, again, they're, you know, it's a basic kind of spell system. And then this is like, okay, I'm kind of in the Copper Age. Now I can start making some fun things like the magic ward, right? Or, you know, any of these utility blocks. You know, I can start researching those. I can start, you know, trying to get my hands on decent spells, right? So I can start researching the 3 different types of spells. You know, I'm creating my first runestone. And when I do this, I can power up the other stuff here, right? To make their essence generation a lot more efficient. You know what I mean? And then we're kind of getting into, okay, grimoire creation. Using the better staff, right? Because now it's like, oh, I have just basic staff, or now I can socket some spells. And if you want, you can use them both. You know, there may be times when you're like, you know what, I don't want to waste the durability on my main staff for transmutation, so I'm gonna just make a basic staff that just casts transmutation as a throwaway thing. You know, just because you want to cast transmutation a bunch, you're not gonna kill the durability. But the choice is yours. You know, magical repair kit, right? Because now you're going to be able to repair your grimoires. You know, so that's the thought here. And then I was thinking, like, okay, what's next after Copper Age? It'd be like the Iron Age. Maybe the key ingredient here should use something with, like, you know, maybe something specific to iron. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it makes sense to keep using the cheapo staff for transmutation, like using stone knife for leather. Yeah. Yeah, and I think with all this too, right? Because you have the basic staff. Well, the funny thing is, it's not a staff. They're actually wands. I just didn't change the name here. So it's called the basic wand. And you can make a bone version of it too, right? So you have your wooden version, which has, like, little durability. And then you have the bone version, which you could use, you know, it just gives you more durability. But you'll be able to, you know, and then you'll have that, and then you'll be able to make, like, the Wand of Fire. Like, it just does a very primitive projectile spell, so it's on par with like your flint spears, right? So it's still kind of caveman, but the nice part is, you know, you don't have to worry about having all the grimoires and sockets because you only have so much space here. You know, so if I'm going to go out in the world and I want to do some elemental hunting or something, I can bring a couple spare wands and staffs here to, like, maybe shoot lightning at, you know, a frost type elemental that I come across. You know what I mean? And you'll have some utility stuff like the Staff of Ignite. I think if people don't use that, they're crazy. Like, how nice is it that you could put fuel in a fire pit, cast this spell on the fire pit, and it will instantly not only light your fire, but bring it up to 250 degrees, right? You can instantly go right into, like, cook mode. You know, just with one little spell, and the mana cost is cheap. The Watering Dew, like this one right here, you probably won't have a lot of use for it, but, you know, some people are like, well, what's the point of that, right? It's just a watering can. I'm like, well, it's an AoE watering can. But it's like, obviously, you haven't played in a world before where you are surrounded by ocean, which is salt water, and you can't fill up your watering cans with salt water. You have to find a source of regular water to fill up your watering can, which, depending on the island that you spawn on, you're not going to find. You know? So, sure, your current world may not have a need for this staff, but someone out there is going to be like, oh, thank God. Right? Caught the overview, loving it. Nice. Hey, Juno. Speaking of single-purpose staff with multiple slottable spells, are you eyeing up anything like if you choose to slot the same spell 3 times or whatever, it would cast faster, take less durability or whatever? I haven't even considered that. So you're thinking with, like, the grimoires, if I socket multiple of the same spell, the effect would be greater? Now, I will ask you this, Juno. Would it be better to do something like that, or would it be better to have a system where you could take your grimoires? So let's say I do have 3 fireball grimoires. All right, let's because this is what I was thinking of doing for, like, enhancing spells, right? So you have 3 of these grimoires. You want to get a more powerful Fireball 1 spell. Maybe what you could do is infuse those grimoires together to make a better upgraded grimoire that has faster cast time, lower mana cost, and maybe does more damage. Would that be better? With the idea of, I only have 3 tiers. So if we look at, like, Fireball, for instance. So 4 damage, 8 damage, and 12 damage are the current values that I have per shot. Which obviously can also change, because if I take the attunement for the light, right, the light essence, then that's going to be like 6, 12, and 18 or 20 damage, right? So and maybe what I can do here is I could go a little further to where, instead of, like, using the same kind of grimoires, maybe you could just break the grimoires down into, like, basic enchanted pages. So maybe you'll have a chance of getting, like, you know, an expansion page that, like, you know, mana reduction, right? Mana cost reduction, or spell haste, or whatever it is. And then you can pick your main grimoire and then just add things. And then the benefit of that would be, if you wanted to use the duplication system, it would take a snapshot of your more powerful spell, right? So if I get, like, a Fireball 3 spell that does, like, 30 points of damage or 32 per cast, and then I can use that to make spell scrolls to either use myself or give to other people, right? So I do want to put in an enhancement thing, but it's like, well, what does that look like? Now, I love spending 30 seconds with a fire starter, then another 30 seconds waiting for it to get up to 10. So Tor, you may not be, that staff may not be for you. That Ignite spell. And the awesome part is, like, I got Kindle. Kindle's like the evolved form of it. So imagine casting something, a 3-second cast, right? And then it instantly turns on your fire and then puts it up to 600 degrees. Right? So that right there is like, okay, I can just add a little bit more. Actually, that's not supposed to be 600. That's supposed to be 900 degrees. I gotta redo some of the numbers. So that would be pretty nice, right? When you want to just get right into melting some copper down, just cast your ignite spell or kindle in this case. I got a lot of neat spells. Telekinesis is actually pretty cool. I like telekinesis. Oh yeah, that's way cooler. Yeah. It really lets the players pour resources into 8+ copies of the same spell or something to better it. Yeah, and I also have to think it's a little different now, right? So you're not eating a runic scroll anymore and gaining a permanent, you know, like this changed, right? You used to just right click on this and then pick like, oh, I know the swiftness spell. So I can just infinitely make really cheaply a bunch of these ciphers to make a bunch of swiftness spells. That's not really the case anymore. Now, it's definitely all random, so if you can get a swiftness scroll, right? Like, that's worth its weight in gold. Like, you better treat that grimoire well, because it is valuable. I got rid of the RNG, so you're not getting, like, you know, you don't, like, just get, like, the crap spells anymore. Now it's, like, the static, this is what the value is, and then I think being able to rip apart the grimoires, and having like a secondary thing, like maybe a mage that just made grimoires here, maybe you can't rip apart grimoires yet, but maybe that's a system like up here, right? We talk about like what's beyond spell duplication. Maybe the next thing would be in the purple, grimoire enhancement. That's when you can start ripping apart grimoires. Maybe if you rip apart some tier 1s, you can get Aether Essence or whatever I call this thing, and then you can imbue that in your book, you know, your spells to upgrade them. Maybe make duration last longer. Who knows, right? So, and that's the other thing with the alpha. I want people to tell me what the balance feels like now, right? Like, the way you gain spells is different. You know, it's not permanent knowledge. You know, now it's like, well, what spell did you happen to get? You know, let's see what this spell's going to be. So let me hop down into meditation, and we'll see what this is. Look at that effect. That took me a while to do, because I wanted to feel like Rust World. Here we go. So see, like, the particles, I'm staring at it, I'm meditating, and I learned the spell Resist Elements 1, right? So that's what that turned into. So if I create this, right, it's gonna have like its own stuff, Resist Elements, which actually isn't that bad of a spell. It's gonna be a decent buff if you're gonna go elemental hunting, or if you want to do the summoning ritual to create, like, you know, to fight one of the mini bosses that I'm putting in. That spell is going to probably save your ass, because for that spell, all incoming elemental damage gets reduced. So this guy's not going to hit like as much of a truck. Now, if I want to target fire, the Resist Fire spell would be better than Resist Elements, but if you're going out in the world, you don't know what elementals you're going to come across, or what creatures, because remember, with my mod, anyone can patch in, you know, the effects here, like the elemental resistances, weaknesses. So if you like the Kiptrix, right, the fantasy creatures, right, you fight that big dragon, what server owners or players can do is you can patch my elemental properties onto that dragon and say its attack, you know, it does fire damage, it's weak against ice damage, it heals if you hit it with a fire spell, right? So that changes the dynamic of things, and I don't think a lot of people know that my mod does that. So, have you decided what the effects of light, dark, and neutral attunements will be? Not yet. I do know what elemental batches they're going to be, which it's basically going to be this. So the light, I'm not sure what I'm going to name these classes either. I kind of like the idea of like the darkness being like a warlock, but I have no idea with like the neutral and the light. But you're gonna, if you're light, you're gonna have you're gonna be able to do more damage with fire, lightning, and nature damage. So if you cast those elemental type of spells, it's going to just do more damage. There'll be a mana reduction cost as well. But that also means that your weaknesses are going to be wind, frost, and arcane, right? So if you take, you'll take more damage with those. And I'm thinking like maybe with the light, maybe you can gain mana regeneration by casting transmutation on a celestial prism. Maybe it costs essence, but if you cast it on, cast the spell on this, it will trigger a mana regen buff on you. Or maybe if you meditate around this. I'm not sure what that looks like. I want there to be some kind of benefit. I'm just going to need feedback, because I'm not sure. I know I want you to attune because I like that idea. I want you to do it during a temporal storm. Which I'm gonna set up this whole thing, right? Like, I want you to build a structure, right? Build something, put the crystals, and wherever they're gonna go, have it be a thing, and then it's inert, right? And then that temporal storm rolls around. And while that temporal storm is going on, you go and cast your transmutation spell or whatever it is, and you activate the portal, right? The attunement process. Bam, it activates. And then you walk into it. And as you do that, you gain the attunement. It consumes all the items. Lightning bolts galore, whatever. And then you become like a warlock, or you become whatever. And then if you want to change, right? Because if you're like, oh, I made a mistake. I really wanted to just be like neutral or whatever. Or I don't want one, right? I don't want to be, I want to be a jack of all trades. You'll be able to do the same kind of thing. Wait for your temporal storm, or during the same temporal storm, right? Do your setup, cast your spell, and then walk through. Now you're going to have to be fighting off hordes of creatures, but I think it'd be pretty cool. So that's the idea that I have for like how you attune and kind of some of the benefits. Now I'll probably make it to where maybe if you are like a warlock, maybe you'll gain like passive run speed increase because it's got the wind element here. Maybe there'll be some kind of effect, like if it's nighttime, like maybe mana regen, like through meditation, will be higher. And then during the day, maybe it will be like half as much, right? Like 2 times as much, then half as much. And then, of course, this would be like the opposite, right? Like, there are different things that I can give you, like, because I want to give you bonuses and perks, right? But I also want to make some negatives, So it kind of feels balanced. Magus, Runestone, Seer, Diviner. So many potential directions to pull names from. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Diviner's not bad. Although, like, I'm thinking of, like, for Warlock, I'm like, okay, Wind, Frost, and Arcane. If anyone knows what that combo feels like, probably Necromancer. That's... Shadow Knights, Necromancers, like, well, when I play WoW again here, I'm going to be a Death Knight, right? So this is my jam right here, That's my jam. So, it's like, well, what's the opposite, right? Fire, lightning, and nature, right? So like a life mage, or I don't know whatever it is. I kind of don't want mage to be in the name because I have the class of Rust Mage, and there's already been some confusion with like, well, are you gonna have a class you start off with? It's like, no, that's something different here. Like that's your class. This is like an elemental attunement. Oh, look at that. Oh, I was testing the soul binding for the new armor. So I made some other changes with armor. There are 2 sets now. There's like the old hat, like it kind of, the flashy set. But because of the way the game does their like bag kind of refreshes, picking up a bunch of items can lag you out. So I made like a basic circlet, which I honestly don't think it came out that bad. We'll go ahead and soulbind this. And in Discord too, if anyone wants to pop in the names of like what the stuff should be, I'm all for it. Right, so I got like the circlets now. This right here, having these models fix that whole like weird lag when you would pick up stacks of 64 items. But yeah, just imagine this caster going on. Look at the expression on my face. So grumpy. So grumpy. All right. Oh, I think I got a bonus to meditation. Yeah, mana regen, 2 per second for meditation. I gotta remove that from the headpiece. Maybe I'll make it an armor set bonus. You know what I wanted to do? I want to add boots. You know, just shoes that you can equip that give you double jump. I don't know why I want it so bad, but I want it. I want double jump in this game so bad. So I think that's gonna be something that'll be a little fun thing that I just kind of throw in there, right? Be like, you know what I could do? I could pull from like EverQuest. I could call them like the Golden E3D boots or Journeyman's boots or something. See if people get the reference. All my EverQuest nerds out there would be like, oh my god! And then of course they'd roast me because they'd be like, technically the Golden E3D boots does mana regen. And the Journeyman's boots increases run speed. Double jump doesn't make sense, Vice. Double jump would be amazing, especially if you have to work for those boots. Yeah, exactly. Right? You'd have to be a pretty powerful mage, I think. It's going to be definitely in the purple. That's when you're going to make your pendants, your you know, all those accessories that I've been talking about is going to be way down there. So you'll be an accomplished mage by then. All right, let me continue here. Oh, I did more things too. I might as well show it here. The botanical matrix got a change. I actually buffed it quite a bit. So if I put this down, let's get a rune stone. I've made so many changes. There we go. Let's get some rusty dust. There we go, we'll just grab a stack. Right, so as soon as you turn it on, the range is actually increased by a lot. So each tier upgrade, it does 2 blocks out now instead of 1. So if you had the basic runestone, instead of being like right on top of things, giving you the greenhouse effect, it bumps it out too. I made the particles a little better. I gave them another pass. Which, as you can see, like I kind of wanted that wispy kind of feel. Probably would look better with some farmland here. See, instantly you get the greenhouse effect with this, and you don't have to like make your greenhouse, right? But you know, just like I thought it was cool having, because like the particles are kind of in the ground too. So if you have to do any digging, like the particles will be like in the ground too. I tried to go all out with this. But yeah, all the stuff's been kind of like improved a little bit. The mana stream generator had a bug that I recently fixed. I was thinking of doing something with the mana stream generator. I love this thing. It's so awesome. But we'll, you know what? I'll just kind of do that. Or you know what? I will do... Here, I'll do this. There we go. And we will give it... Oh, where'd my rusty dust go? You know what? Oh, where'd my wand go? Oh, I got rid of my staff. No. Let's pull out an orange nebula staff. There we go. Right, so you could turn it on. I was thinking instead of these particles, to do something like smaller like this, and then have them move in the right direction. So something like this, it starts from the top and then just keeps going down. And if you break it enough here, right? So it takes a snapshot, right? But if you turn it off and on, you can either turn it off and on, or if you get rid of it, like it stays on, but it kind of puts it like in a suspension thing. So you could, if this game had pistons, that's another thing I wanted to make. Like, does anyone know if someone made a mod, like Minecraft Pistons mod? Does anyone know? Because this right here, if I could, I was going to make pistons. That way you could have something set up, right, to where like you press a button or a switch, and it would, like, you know, because right now this is kind of going up, right? But what it would do is, like, you know, stop it here, and then it would push that one in, and then it would reverse the elevator effect. Do we have pistons? Did someone make that mod already? But anyways, I digress, right? Like, I think I want the particles to, like, move in the direction. And I think having, like, thinner particles like this that, like, kind of shot up as well would look pretty cool. Although this still looks pretty good, but I don't know. Feedback? Get feedback on that. Massive views! Kiss my ass. I miss the days when no one watched and I never got spam. Definitely the thinner ones. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too. Like, I definitely like the thin ones, the wispiness of them. I actually I have new particles for the workbench too, as it's infusing things. I got it over here. There we go. See how it kind of transforms, linking it to something? If I put in rustic compounds. See, so I did a similar thing. Made it like purple. So you can see that it's like it's processing something. And this is actually how you would make the entry level like essence dust, or essence ash is what I call it. And then you use that ash to like make your grimoires and stuff. It's a really nice touch. Yeah, thanks. There we go. And per one you get two. So I was nice. I was nice. And it looks like we ran out of... Oh, we ran out of essence. So that's all it could make. Oh, yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna get something done here. Because I'm running out of time. So I think this would be pretty good. Maybe something similar to that. Maybe not so many Arcanus. Maybe pop in like 2 Arcanus in there to kind of offset your first temporal gear that you're going to have to use. I think having 4 Obsidian with the new rituals to like turn Flint into Obsidian, and then of course to turn Rusty Gears into a temporal gear, I think this becomes easier to chew. Like it's almost like I'm forcing you, or I'm encouraging you to actually use some of the rituals that I put into the mod. So that means this... I think... It's kind of... This should be more expensive. And right now it's not. And this should be... So I'm thinking that, you know, if I use this as a basis, then this should be more expensive. I'm using an enchanted stone. How does that make any sense? Maybe I won't use that. Get some more obsidian. Oh, geez. I looked it up in the wrong thing. Maybe one more each. Although, if I do that, I really should make the legs obsidian, I'm thinking. Or maybe extend this plate a little more. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change this model a little bit more. But I think I definitely want more obsidian here, right? You're using more obsidian. Not really as much. I could kind of cut back on the stone a little bit. Little enchanted stone. Couple more rustic compounds. What other entry-level items do I have here? I don't want you to use any of the fragments of, like, you know, anything that's specific to an element right now. You won't have access to Eldrathnium. Or Moonstone, obviously, or any of the Astrolith or Netherite or anything. Zeganite. You won't... I don't want you to use any kind of ash, either, because it's getting kind of weird having to use the ash. Although, I could have it be a wild card. I could have it to where you could use any ash. So, let's pull some stuff out here. 2, 3, 4. Maybe like 4 each? Which means I probably don't need the rustic compound. Could do something like that. There we go. Just like that. Perfect. Perfect. And now everyone sees how I make these decisions. I just kind of throw darts randomly, and I'm like, oh, what should this look like? I don't know. You know what? So this has a temporal gear in there. It's got a temporal gear cooking. This one does not. Should this take a temporal gear? Because again, you will be able to create temporal gears. You know what? I'm gonna put it in. Oh yeah, TEMP. Because if I put one up top, it would actually help the whole theme here. Right? The whole theme. And you got the one here. Again, it should be a little more expensive. I don't think, if I put ash in there, I don't think I necessarily need the compound. Or maybe you do need it. We'll try that. Because again, you should not be mass producing these, right? It should be a decision, right? Because once you have one, you shouldn't be making too many more. You'd just be changing out your caps to, like, increase it, upgrade it. Rust Mage also has better chance of rusting at temporal gear drops. Not anymore. I changed that. I did get rid of that. Let's see. Here it is. because I'm a rust mage right now, so like you're better with meditation. You gain a 5% spell haste, run speed, and a reduced hunger rate, but basically you are frail. Your melee attack is going to suck. And if you try to loot like any animals, it's gonna suck for you. Pretty big debuff. So you are a weakling. That was the offset. I want you to feel like a mage, pain and all. My mana, my health. All right, this needs to this needs to change a little bit. Temporal gear. Where's my temporal gear? I'm going mad with temporal gears right now. Going mad with power. There you go. How does that feel right there? A nice Arcanus temporal gear sandwich. Actually, having a blank space there works out. That definitely works out. Why not? Another thing. So I don't have I got like maybe less than 10 minutes to live stream. So for the Sanctum, it looks like I got some people here, right? I got some people talking. I want to make it to where there is a Sanctum for like, you know, basically these are all soft tiers, right? So the white and the green, that's like what I would consider tier 1 magic, right? Or if you really think of it, this is primitive tier 1, and then technically when you make grimoires, that's like tier 2. I think I want you to make... I want there to be different kinds of sanctums, right? So the tier 1 sanctum will have only 2 slots, right? That you can put your books into. Instead of having it like, oh well, you could put in all these books, right? And it just doesn't read anything. I don't think I want. I think I want it like to change this here, right? And then just have it like extend this out. You know, get rid of these here, and then have, you know, like just the 2 books. And then for like the next tier, right? When you break into the blue, and you're making the better form of Arcanus, and you got mana torches and all this stuff, right? Then this would have, you know, the next Sanctum, right? And the Sanctum would have 4 slots. And then you can soulbind to this and you would get your 4 slots of spells, right? And then, of course, you know, the final tier here, you would get 6 slots for your wand. Is that a good idea? Or should I make it a multi-block structure where it's, you know, your Sanctum, right? But depending on where you have things built, your Sanctum gets better. And it could hold more. Like, what would be a better solution? In people's opinions, of course, right? Because, like, the way it works right now is, like, you're not going to get six books right off the bat. You know, like, there's got to be some kind of progression, you know, like to be able to have, and I gotta redo this because I added a whole nother spell slot, and I gotta rework this anyways. I'm getting rid of the innate spells, and I'm just trying to focus on, like, if there's an innate spell, maybe it should be in the form of like a basic wand. Yeah, I don't know. But, you know, you should be able to, you know, like right now I'm technically, I got 55 mana, and I can have like 5 grimoires. You know, I'm a new mage, and I'm like, I could fill my library. But how does that progression look, right? Should it be tied to like the runestones? Or would it be better just to make like a better looking Sanctum, right? And then maybe use your old Sanctum with a recipe imbued with the new items to like, okay, now you can use 4. I think it makes sense that if you use runestone upgrades for buildings, it makes sense to also do that for the Sanctum. That's fair. That's kind of why I made it like on the bottom here. You know, made it to where you could see the runestone that it's sitting on top of. But I can also have it be something where, like, maybe that's just something you need to do, right? This is part of the multi-block structure. So your level 1 thing isn't going to work unless it's sitting on top of a runestone. Then you can soulbind to it and it works. And then tier 2 and 3, right? But maybe you still have to make the better thing, right? And like, you know what I mean? And then like put it down, right? So like maybe this runestone is needed to like power this, right? To make it work. Because my thing is, well, how do I unlock more slots? If I do a texture change and just kind of, you know, keep like lighting these up, it's actually going to be a pain in the butt to do, right? If I do a model swap, then it's like, this is a block entity, so I have to worry about updating the block entity, any of the lighting when I do the block, because it's basically like swapping out the block. I need to preserve the inventory and bring it into the new block, right? So it becomes annoying making like one block instead of like 3, you know, separate things. So I'm just trying to get like the feelers out there to see what makes sense, because I like this look. I think it's cool, like walking up, but I think the model needs to be different. And it's just easier making 3 separate sanctums, right? Like a basic sanctum, an advanced sanctum, and a, you know, a master crafted sanctum. And then you could see like, oh yeah, look at that, I can have 6 books. Little Mr. Mage can be like, no, I can only have 2, right? Only 2! Makes sense progression-wise that you'd have to make more of them, but in terms of 2 versus 4 slot sanctums, that seems like less work than multi-block structure. And see, the problem is, like, this right here, this block entity, so you can't see any of the highlighted stuff. I'm bound to this one, so I can. But all of this stuff, like this logic, being able to place the book and everything, I need to size the arrays and do all this stuff dynamically. And it just seems like it invites crashes, potential crashes, having one block to like rule them all, instead of having like 3 different kinds of blocks. And then pretending they're one, right? Because doing a swap out means that that block entity, all that information has to swap out as well, because it's going to have a new array. These selection boxes are in different positions, you know? So that's why I was thinking, like, would it make sense? So like, this is the look that I kind of want. This right here, like, I want this like selected here, like I want that texture to be all right here, right? For this one, it would be 4, so I'm thinking just like the 4 in the middle, and I extend the sides out a little bit more, you know, that way, you know, you kind of look at your altar, right? Your sanctum. I choose easier implementation maintenance over a little more work to craft. Yeah, but my thing is, I want to make sure that, like, if I'm going to spend time doing something, I kind of want it, like, you know, multi-block structure. If we go over here, oops. Boop. Right? Daytime, they all shrivel up. Like a 90-year-old scrotum in ice water. Right? But, you know, something like this, right? Like, it works by itself, but building something around it enhances it. You know, like, I do like doing things like this. You know, like the other multi-block structure here, right? Obviously, the Oculus is a really good example of what a multi-block structure kind of works like. Like, does the Sanctum need something like that? Should it be standalone, right? You know, should it be like the old Sanctum, you place it down, it works forever? Should it require the block on the bottom to, like, you know, almost like you think of it like a power source, right? For this thing to actually work? You know, or should it be a little more grand? Should this be here? And you gotta build, you know, It's like, oh, you need this, and then you need like this block here and here, right? And then this one on the bottom. And then you need to extend out, you know what I mean? And have like a, you know, like make some kind of neat little pattern out of it and have things actually make sense. You know, what are the benefits of that? Like, should something like this, right? Should that be the sanctum? And you need to build this for that sanctum to work, right? So it's like it takes up more space than just a barrel or a crate, right? It's very important, so it needs, you know, like the Oculus, right? A bigger footprint. I could have done this in a single block, this Oculus. I could have made it to where you put an item in and then you see your little burn and then an item comes out, you know? But instead, I'm like, the portal opens and you throw things in and, you know, you cast the spell and bam. You know, should the Oculus be something like that? Should this be inert until you make the structure? Maybe it's not even that. Maybe it could be something like this, right? I don't know, like I'm just playing around right now, right? I don't know. Sickness is pretty important. I think having it be grand makes sense. Okay. I'm kind of feeling that way too. Like, this is important. I don't want it to take up a huge footprint, but I think you should like build something, right? But then, what if I make it kind of like a ritual, right? Like this sanctum, you know, like maybe you have to set something up, right? Like make some kind of like. You see, I just don't know. Should that be craftable? Should it be something like this? Maybe you don't have a block under there? Or like whatever the catalyst block is, and then you cast transmutation, and then it turns this center thing into a sanctum, right? And then it glows and whatever, and now it's like active and ready to go. Kinda like that a little more. I don't know. You know, because this goes into crafting recipes. Do you make this and then have to place things around, or should you have to use transmutation on a center block and it checks to see if like everything's down to create it, and then maybe the sanctum can't move, right? Maybe you can't pick it back up, and if you break it, it just disappears and you gotta, you know, all your other blocks stay, but maybe you lose that catalyst block. And then you got to go back through and be like, okay, well, you know, I want my sanctum to move over here, so let me build this again, right? Let me put down whatever the flooring's supposed to be, blah, 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 blah. Center block, cast transmutation, and then bam, right? It turns into another sanctum that I can soulbind to. Because I don't want people to have a bunch of sanctums. Another problem with the old mod is that sanctums are cheap, and you could soulbind. You could have books already preset, and you could just swap soulbind into each one, right? Bam, could soulbind to that, could soulbind to that. That's why I put in like the mana cost, right? It takes 50% of your max mana to like maybe stop people from trying to play musical. You know, you could have these out in the wild. They can just be sitting next to, you know, like a boss, or you know what I mean? Or you could like run up and be like, oh yeah, you know, I have attack and I have this attack and I have this attack, and I can kind of fight something around, run up, soulbind to this guy, get all these spells, right? Pull up my staff, and now I can start pew-pewing, and you know what I mean? Or if I know I'm about to die, I could run up fast and quickly on soulbind and take no durability damage, you know, with any of my books. So having a sanctum be more of a static, like you can't pick it up kind of thing, I think would be better. But to do that, right, you would have to perform maybe a ritual of some kind. Maybe a ritual of creation. Because if you're gonna do a ritual to like make an obelisk, maybe there's a more advanced ritual here that you would have to use to make a sanctum. That would force you to plan where you actually have your magical sanctum. But I don't want the footprint to be so big where you have to like destroy half your house because you need a flat space to put all your runes. I'd want it to be compact. I don't know. This is part of that feedback. It's like I have like a general thought of like how I kind of want it to work. That's different than the way it currently works, but I don't know. I think the sanctum should not be a crafting grid recipe. I think it should be more of a ritual. And I think that you should not be able to pick up these blocks. Like, you could break them, and you won't get anything back. But also makes it to where I don't bring a sanctum with me, throw it down, pop a couple spells in it, and then soulbind to it and get ready to kick some ass and just pick everything back up, right? Everything's got to be more planned. But it's not, obscure enough to where, like, if I have another base, this is the vision, come on. I'm a high-level mage. I build a base in one place. I go over to another place 1,000 blocks away, right? And I have a second home. I have my sanctum in one place, and I have my sanctum in another place. And I have a gateway, a teleport gateway that's linking both of my work sites, right? Both of my magic stations. Because I'm exploring the world, right? I want to see this world. Something like having the sanctums be a multi-block thing, I have to calculate a little more, but I think it would have a better feel than having a stack of 20 sanctum blocks that I could just take with me and, throw down and do whatever. I don't know. Creating the sanctum, hear me out. Ritual, oh, I gotta read some stuff here, then I gotta go. I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to do a raid and run. A few blocks around would make sense. Ritual to upgrade sanctum would also be cool. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, because if I do runestone rituals, then I want you to be able to upgrade them, right? With other rituals. So I think it'd be cool to like enhance and upgrade your sanctums. Creating the sanctum, hear me out. Make them create a pixel to block scale model of it. Absolutely gigantic, and then they cast transmutation on it and shrink it down to the right size, easy peasy. See, but that's the problem though. It's like if you want it in your house, you have to destroy your house to make this thing, and then cast transmutation on it to like shrink it down, right? I don't want people to destroy their houses. I would want a smaller footprint, Or are you talking about like the Wither boss in Minecraft, right? You make the T, you put the 3 heads on. Yeah, do whatever the thing is, and then it combines and, So we're gonna have to take the roof off because you want your sanctum in your bedroom. Kick the walls out, let's get the TNT. Salt the earth. Alright, we are going to do a random raid here. Fancy a copper. Why not? Exclamation raid! Nah, I'm just being a goof. The funny thing is, like, something like that wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe just not for the same. Alright, everyone. I gotta do /raid. Here we go. Alright, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been pretty good. Hit up the Discord if you're not already in the Discord. Give me ideas, please. Discord. Here we go. I got a couple polls running there. Feedback. We're talking about the new, my new guidebook as well. I put some pictures in there, kind of what it would look like. Different things. I need ideas, right? If I'm doing this rewrite, let me put in the work to do it right the first time and not keep rewriting these systems. I need ideas. I need some direction. I need to make sure that I'm not doing something ridiculous, because I have done that in the past, and it's a pretty big waste of time. it's things could have been more efficient. Thank you for the stream, not a problem. Yeah, thanks everyone, and I think I may be able to do something tonight. I was gonna have to go in really early in the morning. I was gonna start work at 3 a.m. I think, yep, and I'm not gonna be doing that. Boom. So I may be on later tonight. I'll either watch a TV show, or maybe I'll go in my Discord and just do like a stream share, you know, in one of my chat channels. And if anyone wants to pop in, they can. It may not be a full-fledged stream. All right, thank you. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.